but as we know, I'm open to questions after. So let me see if I can get this thing done in about 30 minutes or so. And then let me see if I can hold on here. I got this little thing on my computer here. There we go. All right, let's get this thing back in play mode. And let's do this. So I was going through some photos the other day and I came across this photo and it has a really good meaning behind it. So I'm going to kind of let you guys in on my world a little bit. You know, the way I kind of look at most things in life is like, I don't know anyone that started off at the top. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't met anyone, and that's all the way down to like, if you do enough research around here, Steve Jobs didn't start off the top. Bill Gates didn't start off the top. These guys actually started off like in a garage, right? So basically what I'm saying is we all start off at the bottom. We're all starting off in the bottom area, right? So this is a picture that I took from my suite hotel room that we rented a block of rooms. And I happened to have, out of the 10 blocks of rooms that we rented, I got the top of out of everybody, the highest one at the Cosmopolitan in Vegas. And that was my first year going to Vegas and staying at Cosmopolitan. And it was just a beautiful hotel, just by far one of the most amazing hotels out there. Just the way they treat their guests, the services that they provide is just over the top. It's like going to that next level in service as far as hotels. And that's like comparing like the Ritz-Carlton, the JW Marriott to any other hotel out there. So if you've ever been to those hotels, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, the reason why I share this is because this is the first time I've stayed at a hotel at such a high level. You know, the number of stories was huge. Oh my goodness. I've stayed in like some of the hotel suites, you know, and they're massive, they're big, man, it's like once you get into those places, you don't want to leave because it's so big and it's so nice. But this place was definitely smaller, the suite, but the location was just way up there. So this was on New Year's Eve right over here, and I was just taking some pictures and just enjoying the sundown and stuff like that. So what I'm saying here though is that maybe when we first start in real estate, we're not where we want to be yet. You know what I mean? But when you stick with training and just trying to get better every single day through training, you're going to get there. You're going to be where you want to be. It's just a matter of time. As long as we progress just a little bit every single day, then your success, that's your journey right there. The success is literally the journey, the path that you're on today. So congratulations to you guys just showing up. Before you know it, you're going to be like, hey, I want to stay at the Cosmopolitan and I want to stay on the 60th floor, the 70th floor, whatever the floor that I think they go up to 80 floors, you know, the highest floor that you have available, because I want to be able to overlook this, you know, the Vegas Strip. And what was amazing, the next picture right over here, we're right next to, that's the Bellagio. So you can see how high I am, right? I mean, literally so high. And then they had the water fountains going and the fireworks show. And then you can just see the whole strip right there. So it's just amazing. So we all start from the bottom, but I know if you have the right goals in place and the right mindset and you just go after training, you're going to be wherever you want to be in the next 3 to 5 years, or maybe a year from now in a different place. You're going to be looking back and say, wow, that was a journey right there. And that's what I look at success. It is a journey. So for some of you guys don't know my journey, I want to share a little bit more is, you know, right now I'm the CEO of Fixed Rate Mortgage. I've been awarded, you know, an award for best-selling author. I've been handpicked by Craig Proctor to coach real estate agents from 2014 to 2018. He actually approached me like in 2012 and I put it off. And, you know, he talked me into it. And so it was something that it really had to change my mind. But from 2010-ish or so to 2012, I was basically going from 400,000, right? So I was putting a lot of things in places. By the time 2012 hit, I'm hitting 800,000. So my business literally doubled in that period of time. And then at that point, I started literally working about 10 hours in my business. So I got up to 800,000. I mean, life is good. You know, I basically hit my goal. And that right there, I want to share that with you, because when you hit your goal and you don't set new goals, this is exactly what will happen. For me, it was perfectly fine, because during these years from 2012 to 2014, 15, you know, I wanted to spend more time with my daughter and doing family things like that. So that's what it allowed me to do. I didn't want to miss up that time that she was on the soccer field and all the great things that I was able to provide for her. During that process, though, my team was still cranking out business. 2015, 2016, #1 sales team at the Downey Board of Realtors. And there's a portion of my book. That's me and Craig Proctor. Back behind the scenes over here, you see where it says #1 top producing realtor. That's where they acknowledged the top producing agents. Myself up there getting several awards that I've received through Craig Proctor as well. That's one of them, I think probably about 2015, 2016. So I've had a very good successes in the real estate industry, as well as in the mortgage industry. Well, what we're going to talk about is how to increase your business, you know, in the next 12 months by 50% or more. I believe that what I'm going to teach you guys right now had a direct impact on me, because what I found is that as I met with these buyers out there, what I was really doing is I was making such compelling messages to them that I would get them to fire their current agent. So that's how good we want to get. You see, when so many people out there talk about market domination, well, I think before you can start looking at anyone's seeing about what they can do, look at their track record. The track record speaks for itself. So I speak highly of Todd Walters and Craig Proctor. There's Craig down. He's a pretty big guy. He's a hockey player. He's from Canada. Former #1 RE/MAX agent worldwide. In my belief, he's the #1 real estate coach in the country, because he's coached more millionaire agents than any other real estate coach out there. So a lot of people talk about market domination. It's a word that's now being like overly used. You see, but what I'm going to share with you today are key principles that has allowed me to dominate my market. My market is not, when as a realtor, was not against the other realtors. Matter of fact, there's multiple times where Craig is pulling me on stage in front of a few hundred to a few thousand people to share what's working with my business. I have no threats about sharing with my business. And that's why I formed Fixed Rate Mortgages, to help realtors grow in their market. There's no threats. There's plenty of business out there. And if I can help a realtor grow in their business, then I've accomplished something here while I have this time on this planet. So it's about giving back, and that's what really I'm all about. So I've followed Craig around the country for over 10 years. I'm still doing it. But ultimately, the way I look at myself is like I'm a business coach. You know, I'm in the mortgage business. We're helping realtors grow. We're helping them increase their business. We're even providing leads, but more importantly, appointments to these realtors. And then we provide coaching and training to help them grow and expand and having, massive quantum leaps in their business. So that way they are dominating the market. So let me give you what my kind of like perception of the domination of this market. Like, how do you dominate your market? Okay. If I'm going against, this is you now, you're doing a buyer presentation and they currently have an agent, right? I'm assuming that every buyer that you're going to come across, they have an agent. It's nice to finally find some people that don't have agents, but think about it. There's 50,000 agents in Southern California, right? There's almost on average about 1,000 agents to 2,000 agents for every city locally. So just think about that. They could have an agent. I just assume that they do have an agent. Now, people will start to say that they have an agent just by the pure fact that they know somebody. And I've proven this because I see it when I would go over their house. I would see the magnets posted on their kitchen cabinets, right? Sometimes more than one agent. Or when I call them up through booking thousands of these appointments and meeting with thousands of buyers, they literally would all tell me to have an agent. So my frame of mind is market dominations like this. That's my competitor now. And I'm going to dominate this market. I'm going to dominate this relationship. And therefore, I'm going to be so good at this presentation is by the time I'm finished with this presentation, I'm going to get this buyer to fire their agent. Who wants to get those buyers that you're working with right now? Maybe you're following up with them right now. And maybe there's going to be future buyers that you're going to be working with. How many of you guys would want to like dominate that market? Get them to fire their agent, right? Because what is going to happen is going to have massive, like you're going to have a massive quantum leap. You're going to have so many people to work with that now we're going to be able to work with the most motivated, qualified buyers in our marketplace. Okay. And I teach a lot of agents on how to do that. Right. So that's enough about me. Now I want to get into some of the things that we're going to talk about today and spend some time on that. A little bit about fixed rate mortgage. We got 4-hour underwriting loan approvals. We've got some new technology where we literally scan documents in, and right away we're having our underwriters look at the income. So within 4 hours, we get income reviews. Basically, you're going to be able to submit your offers with no loan contingencies. It's treated as good as cash. That's the way I would sell the deal to them. And we got guaranteed closing programs within 14 days, or we'll pay a $500 penalty for not closing on time. Now, there are some, conditions to that. Like one of them is that we can't do a guarantee if we've never seen the income documents before you put the property in escrow. That means you got to have all that stuff reviewed, the W-2s, tax returns, pay stubs. We got that file ready to go. And that way we can streamline this process. We also streamline the process of getting like tax returns reviewed by the IRS. It's all electronically now. DOE is electronically done. So everything's streamlined now so we can get these things closed in 14 days so you guys can make a stronger offer out there. So again, it's our mission to help realtors increase their business by 50% or more in the next 12 months. And some of the things that I'm going to go over right now, I truly believe this is where it literally starts right over here. Okay. So now one of the questions that I always ask the buyer, so you want to write this down. You want to make sure you get really good at this process right over here, because at the beginning of a presentation is literally the close of your presentation. So what you ask at the beginning is going to determine how well you close them. How many buyers you get them to fire their current agent starts at the beginning, not at the end. So we get that out of the way and you understand the selling process. Now you can be like a closer before you even have to close on them. They're going to make up their own mind on their own that they need to get rid of their current agent and go with you. That's what I call market domination. Getting people to change and say, I want you to be my agent and I need to fire my current agent. Okay. So question here, want to write that down. What's most important to you in the home buying process? I'm talking to the buyer, right? That's what you're going to be asking during this usually interview process. Is what I do is I do buyer presentations, and this is a portion of the buyer presentation. We will be teaching full buyer presentations at the end of the last Wednesday of the month, right here in Fullerton. You guys are more than welcome to come down. If you guys are interested in like that, we'll send an invite out. You come in, I'm going to do some buyer presentation training, and it's about how to really make it so compelling where it's just like, man, I got to go with this agent over here. This is the person that I've been looking for. Okay. You do that, you'll dominate the market. You're going to get buyers to fire their agent. So this is a very important question here, because what I realized, questions, when you ask the right questions, you're basically closing on that buyer. Like you're getting them already to make decisions that what they're currently like maybe not doing, maybe second guessing the agent that they're currently working with. If you do that, the rest is history. It's like, this buyer is yours. right? This is how I grew my team, as I shared at the very beginning, from 100,000, from zero. Just so you guys know, I started late 2008. I was coming from the mortgage industry. I went into the real estate industry. And in 2009, I generated $100,000 in income. It was right around 10 transactions. And then I started doubling that transactions shortly after that, got up to 400,000. Then 2 years went up to $800,000. What contributed to that is that my ability to get these buyers to fire their agents. So we have to understand the sales process. Many of us on this webinar right now, we really understand that. Now we got to understand, what are the questions that we ask? See, that's all we need to know. So the skill is just in the words that we use. So therefore, this has nothing to do with the experience. It has nothing to do with any of that. Zero. Like I said, I started with zero. So if you're starting with zero today, maybe you've been in business for a year or longer. Maybe you're doing business right now and you want to double it in the next 12 months. Okay. We just have to get better at the skill. That's it. Okay. I've been fortunate enough that I had Craig Proctor. I had Todd Walters, Craig, #1 RE/MAX agent worldwide. And then I started to surround myself some of the top RE/MAX agents in the country, top 10 globally, top 10 NAR. So what I picked up on them by me flying from here to Florida, to Virginia, Maryland, throughout the country, Arizona, meeting with these people, I really got plugged in. So these are some great friends of mine now. So it's also, great pleasure meeting them. Also great pleasure meeting people that want that breakthrough, want to get to that next level. And what I'm saying here, it's the words. So that's what I train on. That's what fixed rate mortgage is known for, is to help real estate agents elevate their business. So at the beginning of the presentation, as I'm starting to talk to people, I asked them this question, and I want to get 3 things down, because those 3 things are going to be the ingredients, keyword right in here, ingredients on how I'm going to close them in the presentation. You see, if I get those 3 things, I now know what's most important to them. And that's critical. When you find out what's most important to the buyer, then I just present it in the presentation. Makes my job a whole lot easier to get them to fire their current agent on their own. I don't have to ask them. They do it on their own. So let's kind of go over that. Let's go over the 3 things here. So a lot of times when I ask these questions, the buyer is going to say, well, what's most important to me is, they literally like reiterate, I'm looking for a 3-bedroom house in Fullerton. It's got to have a pool, white picket fence, got to be on top of the hill, overlooking the ocean, right? It's their dream house. I said, great, awesome. I took that down. Okay. I'm consulting them now. Okay. The realtor was just taking that information down. Just agree with them. I don't care if they can afford it. You don't think that they can. Just support their dream. Step number 1, support their dream. Okay. And that's what I would do. Support their dream. I'll work on changing where they have to buy down the road. That's another step. That's another training. That's all separate, right? But support their dream. So after I said, because after they would say, okay, well, yeah, everything I told you already, I'm looking for a 3-bedroom house. I'm like, okay, that's great. This is why I wanted to meet with you. I wanted to get down exactly what you're looking for, your dream house. I've got a really good idea. Matter of fact, I know 3-4 houses right now that fit exactly that. Okay. And I got that down. I'm like, let's talk about what's important to you though in the home buying process. Let's think about that. You see, when I hit them with a question like that, there's no agent in town that's asking them a question like that. You see, and it comes at them that the agent that they're working with, okay, is not going at this angle. I'm being way different. So when I ask them this question, what's most important to them, what ends up happening is I got to walk them through the process. And that's what I'm going to do. is walk them through the process of the home buying process. Well, let's talk about the home buying process. Like, okay, I think right now what you guys are doing is outstanding. You guys are actually meeting with a realtor to talk about the home buying process, taking down, right? And by us doing that, we're going to be able to do a better job. And the response right away is like, well, yeah, the other agent didn't do that, right? I'm already being different. See, what I realize, it's not being better. It's just us being different. Okay. Now being different, we got to have the right questions now. Now I'm going to go right back to, well, let's talk about that. Now you're meeting with a realtor. Now we're taking down exactly what you're looking for. Really the next step, I'm pre-framing now. The next step would be looking at a few houses, and, it's not about buying houses or anything like that, but that way I could even do a better job so you don't miss out on that perfect opportunity. And then the next step after that would be when you find that perfect dream house, the one that you just described to me, you're going to be making an offer, and then there's going to be finances involved. There's going to be home inspections involved. There's going to be termite inspections. There's going to be all these things that are going to be going on. But so let's talk about that process. And you know what they say? I can see it right in their face. My current agent did not do this. Like, I wasted all my time. The last 3 months of working with this other realtor, I wasted. I lost opportunity because this other agent didn't get my offer accepted. I wasted all this time. I don't know anyone out there that when they feel that they wasted time, they feel good about it. Don't know anyone yet, right? It's part of like our human needs. Our human needs, we don't want to waste time. If we feel like we wasted time, we start to feel a little bit like, gosh, man, where were you? Well, let's just look at the bright side. Thank God I'm here now, right? And sometimes you get so good at this, they will say that. So that's what I would say. Just thank God. Maybe timing's in everything. Timing to me is everything. Maybe you had to go work with that person to find me, and I felt like I found you. So let's talk about the home buying process. What's important to you? And usually I just shut up. And they're like, I don't know. No one's talked about this. Well, so let me help you out with that. Okay. This is what was important with my other clients. My other clients said that because they're buying a house and it's their first house, and, they're, it was important to them that they knew exactly what they're buying, right? Meaning you would want to know about the repairs buying your house before you bought the house, not after. Like, you don't want any surprises, right? Like, let's say a house had electrical issues. Would you want to know about that after you bought the house or before you bought the house? And like, oh man, of course not after. I want to know before. Okay, so knowing about the repairers about before you buy the house is important to you then. And they go, yes. Like, oh man. And I just write it down. Kind of like, just picture yourself. You want to make doctor money, so we got to start thinking and acting like a doctor. What's what a doctor would do? Half the time when they write the stuff down, I don't think they could even read it. I know I couldn't read it. Sometimes I can't even read my own writing. I just write down repairs. But they see that I'm paying attention and I'm listening to them. So when I write it down, it's confirmation. I'm listening to them and I reiterate it to them, and they're now agreeing with that. That's more confirmation. Okay. So writing it down is so important. Number two, well, what else is important? How about financing? Is financing important? Yeah, I'm pre-approved already. Great. Would you want to know about maybe there's any special deals and better financing involved where we can save you money? Is that important? Like, yeah, of course. I'm a first-time buyer. I want the lowest rates. I want the lowest payments. I want all that stuff, right? Okay. So you want the lowest rates, lowest payments possible, right? So financing is important. Is an important process to this whole thing. You see, I can take what they've already did in the past, and what I'm doing is I'm making it better for them. So what else is important to you? Thanks a lot. I really appreciate you sharing these two things so far. I want to get one more thing down though, so I can do a really good job for you. So what is a third one that we can do? Why don't you guys put in the chat? Can you guys put that in the chat? What's one more? I talked about repairs. I talked about financing. What's one more? Usually we're sticking with like a first-time buyer because these three things could be different for different folks. But what we're working right now is first-time buyers. Okay. So let's take a look at what we got in the chat. Not overpaying for a home. Okay, that's a great way. Yes. Like, so it's important to you that you get a good deal. So that's how I would reword that, right? Is it important that you get a good deal? And they're like, yeah, that is important. Okay, so getting a good deal, what that means is your ability to beat out all the other buyers to the best new listings and get your offer accepted, right? Is that important, getting your offer accepted? They're like, yes, I submitted an offer with this other agent and it didn't get accepted. And because I met you now, I'm going to fire them and go with you because you are going to help me buy this home, right? So you see, what comes up here is part of a very core value with me, which is results driven. I'm going for the results with every appointment that you're going to want to do, which is if they have an agent or if they think they have an agent, I got to get them to fire. We also get them to sign, VIP agreements at the end of this stuff. And by me doing this, it makes it a whole lot easier to get them to sign this stuff, right? So yes, another one would be communication, honesty. I'm going to be frank with you guys on that one there. Transparency, communication. Okay? These are some great things here. These are some great things. But I tell you though, if somebody, unless they told me that, unless they told me about transparent communication, problem with it, what they're going to say is that they have no problem with it.
Robert here? What? Robert not here? I'm sitting.
So you're creating.
Sure.
I don't know if everyone can move.
Maybe it wasn't.
Everyone can move their lines. That'd be great. So when it comes to transparency and communication, unless they went through a problem situation, and I do figure out if there's any issues with that, okay? But as long as like what happens is the transparency is, it's almost a given, because what if that other agent has good communication and is transparent? They don't know what transparency is. So until I get into the presentation, then I can talk about transparency. Then I can say how our communication is better. But if there's not a problem, you see what I'm doing on these home buying process is I'm identifying problems that no one else has identified. And if they don't know there's a problem right there on communication, because they're like, my agent's great already, and you're talking about transparency and communication, I'm just saying it's on the lower side, okay? It's on the lower side. I do cover transparency and communication though, by the way, right? It's in the presentation though. It's not part of my 3 bullet points a lot of times, unless they actually told me my agent just stopped calling me back when I first started meeting with them. So if they tell me, I'm like, okay, well, you said your agent wouldn't call you back all the time. So let me ask you something. Is communication important to you? Yes. Okay. That's how that would work, but it's not my top 3, right? All right. So let's kind of go forward here. I'm going to skip ahead a few of these slides here. So let's see if I can move this around. So we get to this slide right over here. Okay. And this slide right here begins, the beginning of the close was actually these 3 things here, right? So if I have 2, because maybe I missed one, it's not as good. If I have 1, it's better than none. But if I got all 3, I'm getting them to fire their agent. Okay. And what do we know about people, home buyers out there that have agents that have submitted an offer, 1 offer, about to submit an offer? Did they just meet that realtor? What do you guys think? Did they just meet that realtor? Put in the chat. If somebody's submitted an offer, about to write up an offer, ready to make an offer, did they just meet that realtor? What's the average length that they've met with that realtor? No way, right? No way. So now you got to get people to fire their agent that they have a relationship with. That's why it's important to get the good three things. If not, your conversion rates with these buyers out there is going to be lower. It could be higher if you get three. Because if I talk on these three things, these three bullet points, it's just overwhelming. Like it's an overwhelming response in their head. It's like, I got to let my agent go. I have to. So that's your goal. Three things that the agent is not currently, that buyer's not currently experiencing or doing. Okay. So now when I get down over here to this slide, I start off with say, look, these are all the cool things that I can do as your buyer's agent that other agents can't do, such as seller's agents, working with the seller's agent, right? Meaning as your agent, I'm going to be able to protect your interest at all time. Okay. And what I'm going to do right over here is I'm going to find those, but one of the three things, those ingredients that I got, and I'm going to incorporate it into this slide right over here. And I'm going to use the first one, for example, okay, just the first one, right? The first one is this: protect your interest at all times. You mentioned that it's important to you that you know about the repairs before you buy your home. Like, yeah, of course. Yeah. I didn't realize that. No one talked to me about that. Okay. Like, electrical box and, I know electrical boxes. I know I'm not a plumber, but I have access to people that know plumbing, know electrical boxes. I've got all the resources for that. So only I, like myself, is going to be able to advise you and protect your interest and point out things like that, and get the right people around us. So my job is to advise and disclose to you, Mr. Buyer, all matters about the property, even if it means pointing out reasons not to buy the home. You see, I would feel a lot better knowing that you knew anything that was wrong with the house. If it needed electrical box, plumbing, I would feel much better because I know that's important to you. We just talked about that. That is important to you. If it's important to you, it's important to me. You see, if it's not important to you, then we can move on to something else that's more important. I've worked with investors like, I don't care about the electrical boxes. I don't care about any of those things. But since you're buying this house as your first house, and you need to know about that stuff. You don't want to be caught with surprises after you buy the home. 6 months later, the electrical box blew out because it's bad, or there was a plumbing leak. You don't want to know about that stuff, right? After we just talked about that. So it's important to you. It's important to me. And I'm going to take ownership of it. That means I'm going to disclose everything to you. Did the other agents go over anything like this that you're working with? Right. No. Oh, okay. Well, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, the second one. So the second one's about finances, right? So finances is down right over here. It says keep buyers' financial capabilities, thoughts, and willingness to pay more for a property strictly confidential. So I get down to there, and with the Zoom call, I'll just go right down to there. Okay. I just go from the first two because I said protect your interest at all times, advice, and now I can just go right down over here because I want to cut this thing a little short on a Zoom call. If I'm sitting in front of them, if they come into the office, you want to go through more of these things. Okay. But I got to get the best three out there fast so I don't lose their interest. I'm going to talk about now, keep your buyer's financial capabilities, thoughts, and willingness to pay more, strictly confidential. You mentioned about getting the best financing on this property, right? You mentioned that's important. You mentioned getting a good deal, right? You see, sometimes buyers are like, hey, I'm willing to spend $10,000 more on the house. I'll take that into consideration. But if I'm able to find out a way to save you $10,000, you definitely want to know about that as well, right? Like, yeah, all right. See, I'm going to keep all your financial capabilities, your loan approval, how we're going to be able to present this thing good as cash and beat out other buyers, all that, whatever you qualify for, your rates, making sure we get you the best rates, the best payments, thoughts and willingness to pay more. It's just between you and I. You see, only a buyer's agent like myself can do that for you. The seller's agent can't. So do you see how that's going to benefit you? Like, yeah. Okay. So the next one was getting a good deal, right? And the way I look at getting a good deal is not overpaying for a property, right? How do I know that you're not overpaying for a property? How you know you're getting a good deal? How you know that, how you're going to know this stuff, right? Well, I'm going to share with you and doing these studies, and I'll send you a study of the value in that area. Plus, we're going to be able to represent you on all properties in the MLS from all the different real estate companies. Okay. It doesn't matter where this property is coming from. I'm going to be able to represent you. And on the last Wednesday of this month, last Wednesday of November, I will be teaching agents on how to collect 1% to 2% more on these transactions, and share with you how I could get this buyer to show them, they're going to see that's going to be revealed to the buyer that the agent that they may be working with right now is not showing them all properties. Okay, that's all going to be covered next, the last Wednesday of the month. So lastly, when I get down to this, right, and then the last one right here, negotiate home inspection, repairs, making sure all this stuff is weighted in your favor, not the seller's favor. We're going to make sure you know exactly what you're buying before you take possession of the property, not after. So at the end of the day, Mr. Buyer, I'm going to owe my fiduciary duties, obligations, all my responsibilities only to you, not the homeowner. So let me ask you a question. Which type of relationship do you prefer to have? Do you prefer to have the seller's agent or a buyer's agent? And at that point, they're going to be like, it's a no-brainer, right? They're like, of course, I don't want to work with a seller's agent. And you know what I realize is a lot of times is they're starting to even guess is, ooh, I wonder if the agent that I work with right now is just with the seller because he ain't doing a good job with me. So I get them to say buyer's agent. Well, I can be your buyer's agent and help you, buy this dream home that you're looking for. And I'm like, man, let's do this. So kind of want to just leave it right there and open it up. Maybe if you guys had any questions with that, that'd be great. At the end of the day, that's really kind of how I once I get that firm commitment like that, the presentation does go on. I do pull out a VIP buyer agreement. I do set showing appointments. I do talk about commissions, all that good stuff. So that way, I'm negotiating all the way to the very end. And then I'm setting up a showing appointment after that. Any questions with that? Any questions? Maybe if you can't talk right now, or if you can put it in the chat, if you're unavailable, that would be cool. I could read it off the chat. So Oscar put something down. When do you take down their home buying criteria? Oh my goodness, that's a really good. You see, I used to do this backwards, by the way. Okay, and early on in 2009, I realized I'm doing it backwards. I got to do this first. So the very first thing I do is whatever I leverage to get the appointment in my business. What I do is I leverage taking down their home buying criteria, right? So that's the very first thing I do is, hey, thanks for joining. So before I even jump into this presentation, today I'm going to be taking down your home buying criteria. I throw out a bunch of USPs with them. These are the things that we're going to do for you. We're going to talk about how we're going to be able to, beat out other buyers to the best new listings, how, our guaranteed program, or if you're not completely happy with your program, house in the first 18 months, we'll buy it back or sell it for free. We talk about savings and things like that. Everything that just sounds really good. And then I lead them right into, so the next thing I want to do is just really take down your home buying criteria. So that way you can really help you find the perfect house, the dream house that you guys had in mind. So it's really at the very beginning, I take down their home buying criteria. And I've got a form that I've custom made for this, and I pull it up on a Zoom call. You're going to want to pull it up so you can demonstrate this to them. Here's what I'm talking about. This is the worksheet here. And anyone on this call, if you like a copy of that, just shoot me an email at david@fixedratelending.com and I'll email it out to you guys. Okay. So it is at the beginning. I do want to spend some time here. When I'm face-to-face with them, when you're face-to-face, you do want to spend a lot of time in this area, because what I realize, if this buyer's ready to buy right now, you gotta have that perception in their head that the market, and you're going to do a very good job for them. So you need to get them to like, man, I don't want to leave this other agent because, you know, I've known him for 6 months, a year, but this other agent over here, man, he's really trying to find out that property for me. Man, he knows the inventory, man. So before you do these calls or these appointments, just understand the market a little bit, and, you know, you're going to sound like an expert. Does that help? When should we go over the contract, and how should we make them accepted by the sellers plus the contingencies? So the contract, when on a Zoom call, it's very challenging to go over the purchase contract with them. If you're referring to the purchase contract, I do talk about it. I do ask them, has your other agents, have they ever, anyone that you worked with, did they ever explain the purchase contract? And I get a lot of times, probably about 90% of the time, they say no. So, which is good, because you create doubt that whatever they're doing now is wrong. It's not, they're not going to, it's probably not the right person they're working with, right? You're creating some doubt. Like, they didn't explain it to you. Oh my goodness. Like, what are they doing here? All right. So the other thing I think, you might be referring to is the contract, like the VIP agreement. Is that what you're referring to, Omar? When should we go over the contract?
No, the purchase contract. That's what I was referring to. Sorry.
Okay, so yeah, the purchase contract. So literally in this presentation, you're going to want to plant the seed, unless it's a face-to-face, and the face-to-face, go over it. If it's a Zoom, then just plant the seed, you know, ask them that question. Did they go over the purchase contract with you? And because, you know, you would like to spend some time going over the purchase contract. If you got a high S or high C, oh my goodness, that's the fastest way to win these people over. They're going to want to sit on the Zoom they'll sit on the Zoom for an hour to 2 hours and listen to you. But anyone else, you think you might going to lose them. Okay, accepted by the sellers plus all contingencies. All right, so I do go over the contingencies with them, okay? And before you, this is kind of like one of those things. Well, how much do you go over the contract first with them? Well, if you go over the contract, and I can see this as an issue where if you go over too much, they can take that information and go with the other agent. Okay, so what you want to do is you need to make sure you got full commitment. How we do things around here, right? I give a lot of secret ingredients. So therefore, the secret ingredients, you're doing that to leverage them to sign the agreement. All right. So I don't, for a new relationship, I'm not going to be talking about contingencies yet. Right. And most of the time, if I talk about contingencies, they may not even really get it fully. So, but what I talk about is, look, when you work with me, we're going to get you full loan approvals. So I leave contingencies out. We're going to get you full loan approvals underwritten by the underwriter. And what that will do for you is it will allow you to be good as cash. You see, what I just said is what you just said, but you said it in the terms of a realtor's language versus I said it in a buyer-friendly language. The buyer is going to be more receptive. It's more compelling to the way I said it versus the way it's said in this little thing right over here, right? So you don't want to use that type of language because it sounds a little bit confusing. And when I realize a confused mind does nothing, it just confuses them a little bit more. It's not compelling. So the very first thing what I realize is we have to get really good at, as a realtor, you want to get really good to make compelling messages and offers. Make sense? Did that answer your question, Omar?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it. That cleared it up.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, so the less we stop thinking as a realtor and start thinking as a marketer, then I'm not talking about contingencies, right? I'm talking about preparing your offer where it's going to be presented as good as cash. I'm marketing. I'm selling. Good question there. Great question. Other questions? Any other questions? Any other questions? Okay.
David,
Yeah, another. Yep.
hey, I got one more.
Okay.
So, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, so is it okay, to develop, value and more commitment from a seller, I'm sorry, from a buyer, and then talk to them about the VIP agreement contract instead of doing it the first day you meet with them for a Zoom call or in person? Like, is it okay for me to show them a few houses, show them more commitment and value so they can see the value that we bring, and then talk about the VIP agreement contract?
So I've always, at least, at the very least, you got to present it, right? And if they ask me the question, do I need to sign this? I say no, you don't need to sign it. I appreciate somebody saying, do I need to sign it? No, not at all. When are we gonna go look at some houses?
So bring it up, if sign it, bring it up, and if they don't want to sign it, just let them know that's fine, they don't need to sign it.
No, it's just exactly how I would respond right now. Do I need to sign this thing? No. I mean, if you want to, if you want me to really work for you and, really help you find a house, then I would sign it. But if you feel like you don't want to sign it, it's fine. When are we going to look at some houses? Somebody that has another relationship, or basically they're a high S or a high C, that's the response I get from them. Okay. But a high D, they already made up their decision. Fine. I'm firing Billy. I'm going with Dave. I need you to sign this. And they just sign like that. Those are easy. S's, yeah. S's are like, even I's, high I's, I'm like, man, this is great, man. I want to work with you. So high I's are going to want to sign it too. But S's and C's, I show them a few houses. So you want to show them a few houses, right? And then go from there. Sounds good. Any other questions? All right. Well, just keep us in mind. If there are any loan approvals out there today, just give us a call. That's my direct line here at the office, my email address. We will have some more training throughout the month. And then also more training at the end of November, last Wednesday of November. Last Wednesday, we'll send out the invites on that. And let's go. That's about it for today. Thanks for joining. And I'll see you guys back on another webinar. Talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.